Hi, this is Jeremy Lee, and you're watching Pcuspard.
Hey everybody, it's Pcuspard! I love it when Neptunia season comes around. The cute characters, the gameplay, the vert moments. Oh, I love the vert moments. And this game potentially has several. HyperDimension Neptunia Producing Perfection, I refuse to call it PP, is the first spin-off game in the Neptunia franchise. And while it takes place in a different game industry entirely, this was still labeled Ultra Dimension in the Japanese version. This is probably because all of the assets for the 4 CPUs and Histoire are all in their victory designs. However, no sign of Plutia. Maybe in a sequel that'll never happen. This was also the last Neptunia game to be published by NIS America, creators of the Disguise series, as well as owner of Neptunia character Nisa. This may seem off, but trust me, the way Idea Factory and Compile Heart dish out their maker characters is so convoluted that could be its own video itself. Maybe in July. Either way, Producing Perfection is not a JRPG, but an idle simulation game with very heavy dating sim parts, with a faceless character serving as protagonist. This obviously turned a large amount of fans away, but also brought some new ones in. But 3 years later, does the game still hold up, if it did at all? Well, that's what I'm here for. This is my review of HyperDimension Neptunia Producing Perfection.
Don't let your kids watch it!
You're right.
The story starts in game industry where Nepgear rushes to Neptune to realize that Planetoon shares are worse than usual, meaning even less people believe in this lazy CPU than before. This means things actually get worse, as the same issue is happening in Last Station, Louis, and Leanbox, as Noir, Blonde, and Vert meet with Neptune at her Basilicom in order to discuss what caused this. Our enemy this time is the faceless MOB-48, who has swindled the fickle people of game industry with the power of idle music. The CPUs decide to ditch gaming for the time being and become idols. But they need a producer. They decide instead of just, putting out some flyers for somebody to manage the highest power in the land, the CPUs decide to call somebody from another world. The real world! This is where you/I come in, as it's summer vacation and you/I got a new game. And yes, it's trying to parallel what's actually happening. Also, yes, I play as myself, and selected Vert as my idol. Why would I select anybody else aside from wanting some variety? Anyways, the player gets transported to game industry and falls in the chest of his/her selected goddess. They have a bit of banter, as well as frighten the player by accident.
You have seen us transform. We cannot let you return home.
As the player selects the CPU you chose earlier in the game, as the other CPUs don't get involved until you choose to partner up with them later. More on that later. There are 3 separate endings in this game per character. There's the bad ending, with the CPUs giving up and leaving you somewhere as you're forced back. However, if you don't suck at the game, you will eventually get these painful headaches. After your CPU becomes the top idol, the headaches get worse, and the player takes this as his job in game industry is over, and he has to go home. He tells this to the rest of the CPUs as well as his chosen, but she refuses to accept it, because over the course of the game, they've grown to care about the player and don't want him to leave. The CPUs you didn't choose attempt to send you home, only to fail because it requires all 4 CPUs, who tend to hog you. Except Vert. At least she's willing to challenge you at a game in order to receive your health. I mean, it's fruitless because, well, she's Genius Gamer V after all. So that's the normal ending. And by going through selective events where you have to select the best option possible, you can unlock the true ending, where if you selected Neptune, she goes to your world with you. If you selected Noir, you get a goodbye kiss and realize you were playing the game you were going to play. For Blonde, it seems she's noticed something off about your body and wanted to study it. She sent you off with a good luck charm from her as you find out she thanks you and wishes that the teleportation failed. And for Best Girl Vert, I decide to log into a random MMO and meet a character in the game named Greenheart as I play games with Vert like when I was in game industry. What a lovely ending. Like I've said in my previous videos, I love these characters, and even Noir isn't that terrible this time. Obviously, my favorite is Vert because she's a fun character to be around. I enjoy how different of a fan service character she is, and how she's basically me, but, you know, girl. The Neptunia franchise has a reputation for reusing various assets from previous games, which this game certainly continues. Everything in this game looks like it was from Victory, which isn't bad per se. This also means that the lip syncing is up to stuff, and we got silhouettes again, which nobody missed from the 2010 Neptunia. But at least this time, the characters they use it with are just flat out aren't important. The game is only about you, who you never see as the player is you and your CPU. And with how this game's a spin-off and not a JRPG, I personally think that it doesn't matter that the less important characters don't get designs from, as they aren't important. The music sounds nice and the 4 main songs in their, upgraded version sound nice, although no real explanation is given for why the English-speaking CPUs sing in perfect Japanese, and while you could make a case for Neptune, Noir, and Blonde as they are technically, Japanese, that doesn't explain the technically American Vert. Not that big of an issue, just something that kind of nags at me. Everything sounds nice, and while the OST isn't exactly original for the most part, it still sounds fine. This is where things get interesting. While the biggest part of the gameplay comes when your CPU is performing, these moments happen so infrequently as the game feels it's more like a dating simulation, or how to be an idol producer. The main menu holds a selection of options. There's the work option to where you can further your CPU's idol career through press events, recording sessions, and the like, which while this raises some of your stats, it also raises their stress, which if that reaches 100%, it's game over. There's the lesson option for you learning other songs or helping your CPU study how to be an idol while teaching yourself at the same time, because let's face it, you do not know what you're doing. Relax is an option where you can both lower stress, get to know your CPU better, and, well, really get to know your CPU better. This is where a majority of the gameplay is, as it's also a gateway to getting to the true ending in the game. There's a move option to see events between your CPU and the other 3, depending on who you choose. And finally, there's the concert option, where the main, well, gameplay is. Everything else in this game is all events, which can really get on some people's nerves, as it feels like nothing is really getting accomplished as you mash that X button. However, I personally enjoy how it's largely events as you spend more time with your CPU, furthering the relationship, which actually furthers the story along. But seriously, how the hell do you get S ranks on all of these categories? The concert option definitely has the most involvement, however. You get different outfits for your CPU for different concerts, various lighting effects to make the fickle people of the game industry enjoy your beloved idol. You can also shift camera angles to get the best view of your CPU, which will further your ranking. It's a little troublesome as the people of the game industry show their true fickleness, as I try everything yet I have no goddamn idea how the hell I'm getting these OKB rankings, when I think I've done everything I could to get these fickle people to enjoy her. Luckily, this comes every 7 days in a 180-day period of game time. Concerts are basically the boss fights of this game, and when you're not in producer mode, the main story, you can do an endless concert where all you do is concerts. Plus there's this mode where you can play with the CPUs by touching them. This makes me feel both incredibly uncomfortable and incredibly creepy. Not what I wanted to do. It was better. Even though this game gets a lot of crap thrown at it, the game was not as bad as everybody thought. This clearly wasn't meant to be anything big, as it's just a fun dating simulation game / idol simulation game with your favorite Neptunia characters. Are there problems here? Yes. Yes, there are. The game is all events, and the concert sections seem quite challenging to understand for such a simple game, let alone a handheld title. But for what it is, producing perfection isn't that bad. I recommend playing this if you're alone on Valentine's Day, and I'll end this before it gets too real for me. With that said, I'm Pcuspard, and take care.